Envanto, at its core, are an ecosystem where creatives and the creative community can thrive. So essentially, the vision was to build a platform where creators can earn a living doing what they love. We have initially the marketplace. So that's where we have hundreds of creatives that create templates, digital assets, and essentially on the marketplace called Envanto Market is where we relicense those templates, and that's where they can earn a living. Then we have Envanto Elements. So essentially it's kind of a product that was born about 5 years ago now, where you can download unlimited amount of digital assets for a monthly or annual fee. So instead of the one-off transaction type marketplace, it's a subscription product. And the third kind of core product is Place It, which is a super cool design tool serving the creative community, print-on-demand community, anyone that are trying to create digital assets. Obviously, delivering on our KPIs and goals, objectives. I mean, it's partnership revenue is a very big component of what we do, and I think Impact.com facilitate that perfectly. And we're very excited to be working with Impact.com and also what the future years have to bring as well. One of our biggest business values, which is when our community succeed, we succeed. So I mean, if we're facilitating the livelihood of a massive group of authors, Impact.com just allow us to allow them to continue to earn through Envanto, and not just from their sales, but also from their affiliate earnings as well. So it empowers them to become their own affiliates in their own right, at the same time as being an author at Envanto. Essentially, any kind of digital business, online business, can leverage partnerships to enter new markets, essentially keeping ROI high, the risk profile low, and I think it lends itself to any scalable digital business. On the Envanto Market side, we play in the B2C space as any two-sided marketplace would typically. So, as a customer, you can jump on Envanto Market, purchase what you want, and use it. But on the B2B side, that's more where the partnerships come in. So I think it's fairly nuanced. I mean, partnerships mean for us working with an affiliate network or a publishing company with hundreds of employees. We have account managers kind of managing our partnerships on the partner side. But then we have, the influencers out there who essentially can work from wherever they want, and they're typically one-man bands. So I think, to have that variety in your kind of war chest is pretty awesome. It poses different challenges on a day-to-day basis, and no day is the same, and that's what you want. We work with traditional influencers. That's been come to the fore much more in the last 3 years, but also publishers, networks, anybody that's publishing any information about what we do, we want to work with them. But also we have a massive author creator community. So anything, any asset you see on Envanto Market, for example, was created by our very talented community of hundreds of thousands of authors. And Impact.com actually allowed them to create additional revenues aside from sales revenue from Envanto. So that's massive for us. Differentiating ourselves has been a big challenge, and I think not just for us, but any player in this industry. Over the last couple of years, the marketplace has become very crowded, and I think we have to find ways of cutting through that noise. And I think one big challenge has been streamlining the whole process, and I think Impact.com have really helped in that regard. You have, let's say we had a handful of kind of partners or influencers working with 3 advertisers, and now they're working with 50. It was love at first sight, really. We met with the Impact.com team, and the core product was exactly what we needed. It was the streamlined kind of payments, reporting, governance that we just kind of couldn't live without. data is everything about what we do. Any decision that we make, any step we take is data driven, and I think Impact have understood that. I've understood the requirement on the partner side and advertiser side, and we leverage that, right? So if I'm looking at KPIs and I use that to make a decision whether to go into a campaign or not, that's one way I use the data. The other one is kind of just creating a map of our partnership economy, our internal partnership economy. And I think without that data, I definitely couldn't do that. The partnership economy has its flaws, and obviously fraud is coming into play a little bit more now. And we get weekly emails, for example, from your fraud team. And recently we've been able to connect our fraud teams. So Impact.com's fraud team and our fraud team are speaking directly. And I think that is hugely powerful. Authenticity. I think I can tell the customer what I want the customer to hear every day of the week, but it's very hard for me to get in front of that customer. So I think partnerships allow you that conduit, that forum to communicate through your partner, and that's where trust, relationship comes in, and you rely on that partner to relay your brand values. And I think whoever's using or viewing that channel has trust in the channel, and I think obviously it's a trusted voice, and again, authentic. Content is growing in all different forms, and to monetize that content it takes work and time and effort, and I think the automation of that process is super exciting. Publishers are thinking, okay, I've got to go and update all my links, I've got to create affiliate links, then place them and make a decision on where to place them. I think all that automation and that process is going to save the partner a lot of time and actually make them more willing to listen to what we've got to say. For us, to offer that kind of support to the publisher is a massive value add. It also allows you to enter markets that were harder to reach. So now if you use an automation platform in the content commerce space, like Impact.com are offering, it opens so many more doors. So in terms of how you actually leverage this, existing partnerships, you can grow, expand, develop, but also new partnerships. So instead of me now hunting for, taking days to try and find new publishers, essentially, they're served to me, and with Impact.com, I can actually now offer them a way to monetize their content. Further investment in partnerships is a conversation I have on a daily basis with my manager, and I think Impact.com and the data it offers adds color to my request and to my kind of wants as a partnership manager. To give you a very kind of high level example, I think, let's say new revenue versus existing, for example, I could spend a week analyzing our new partner revenue and then basing that on my kind of proposal to work with partner A, B or C and at what level of investment. And I think on the existing side, I think we could create new campaigns and really understand what drives our partners and what they want based on the data that we have. So yeah, I think that's one strategy, and I think entering new markets as well. So Envanto are constantly developing new products, and each product gives us a new opportunity. Each opportunity gives us a whole new landscape of partnerships to explore, and I think using that data really kind of paints a clearer picture, and kind of you can use it as a compass to direct where you want to go in terms of dollars spent. In terms of team efficiency, it's allowed us to define internal roles a lot more. So I think, be that on the email side or be that on the new partnership side. So it allows areas of focus and, who's best in the team to work on that based on, their attributes and also the potential of that particular task or initiative. So I think we've definitely used Impact to, define roles a lot more clearly. I mean, the advice I'd give anyone entering the partnership world is really research who you're considering working with. I think anyone worth their weight in gold are going to give you a platform that does, the basics. But I think you need to look into the future and where your industry is going, and then base your decision on a partner that can deliver on those future goals. So I think someone like Impact.com, we're very interested in the acquisitions being made in the content space, in the fraud and risk space, reporting, social media. So I think these were attributes that if I was entering now would be super important for our agenda. So I think just to reiterate that point, look underneath the hood and really understand who you're about to work with, because hopefully that relationship is going to last many years, and we all know that being in a relationship with someone that you don't particularly like is challenging. So yeah, know them and like them. One of the biggest trends at the moment is the kind of area of content commerce. Creators and publishers, partners are looking at ways to create new content and scale that, and at the end of the day that they want to be paid. And I think these automation platforms such as Impact.com are offering really help leverage those publishers, but also open doors for us. New opportunities in harder to reach places, new markets, for example, new geos. I think AI is going to offer so many more kind of possibilities on the partnership side, on the advertiser side, and it'll be really interesting to see how that technology is leveraged to create more value, obviously more revenue, and I think Impact.com have recognized that, and some of the offerings, bells and whistles that they're offering is going to be pivotal. In general, the Impact.com's feature list is ever growing. So I think this year is going to be a really huge one in the delivery of those, hopefully, and we're really excited to use them.